Unlocking the sacred shift, 3 miraculous divine truths revealed for supernatural transformation. In the rustic charm of Willow Creek, where the hills rolled like blessings and St. Matthew's Church rose like a beacon, Agnes's heart bubbled with fervent faith. A devoted widow at 72, she spent countless hours in prayer, her voice echoing the hopes of a community. Yet, all that seemed to flicker when her only son, Tom, fell gravely ill, his tiny body fighting a battle too big to comprehend. The doctor's grim prognosis thundered in her ears, shaking the very foundation of her devotion like a tremor. It felt as if darkness was grasping at her, threatening to steal her faith. Gathering her anguish, she called upon the members of her church family. They filled the chapel, their prayers intertwining, invoking St. Jude's name with every breath. Candles flickered like stars, casting divine shadows that danced with the hope of miracles. But outside the warmth of their prayers, whispers of doubt circulated like ominous clouds. "What if it's too late?" they questioned. Determined, Agnes knew she couldn't let despair take root. She embarked on a spiritual journey, searching for what lay beneath the surface of her trials. In her search, she stumbled upon Jacob, a local evangelist whose fiery sermons sparked something deep within her soul. His words poured like rushing water, reminding her of the strength still alive in her heart. "Hold on, Agnes! Power lies in unwavering faith," he declared, igniting a flicker of hope within her. But just as her spirit began to brighten, her sister-in-law, Margaret, entered their discussions like a storm. "Why do you believe your prayers still matter?" she pressed, causing Agnes's soul to quiver with doubt. Arguments turned into fiery exchanges, leaving Agnes feeling isolated, as if her faith were an island abandoned by truth. In the tangled shadows of her struggle, a moment arrived that would forever change her heart. Sitting in her garden, with the sun kissing her skin like the touch of a caring hand, Agnes let her heart speak. As she poured out her soul to God, asking for direction, a divine light enveloped her, filling her with an unseen warmth. Peace washed over her like a gentle river, and in that sacred silence, she felt a presence God whispering that her fight for Tom was worthy. She could feel it in every fiber of her being. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just when renewed hope surged through her, doubt crept back. And were her prayers making any difference? Was her faith strong enough? Tears of uncertainty pooled in her eyes, threatening to spill over. Just then, a stirring shift began within Tom. The doctors noticed a flicker of hope in his vitals. The impossible was occurring as Agnes's steadfast prayers filled the atmosphere with a palpable energy. Seeing this collective revival transform all of Willow Creek, miracles surged, and hearts turned toward God in joyful anticipation. Yet there remained a question in Agnes's heart. Had this miraculous moment shifted her reality, or was it merely a temporary shadow dancing on her fears? The air buzzed with divine possibility, leaving Agnes and the entire town holding their breath, eager to see what God would unveil next. As days turned into nights, Agnes found herself in a dance between hope and despair. Each morning, she walked to the hospital, her heart pounding with prayers as strong as the beating of her own heart. The doctor's updates became a source of bittersweet anticipation. Every small improvement in Tom's condition lifted her spirits, yet the specter of uncertainty lingered, casting shadows over her joy. "Pray harder, Agnes," Jacob encouraged one Sunday after service, as he grasped her hands tightly. "God is moving. You must believe that His power is greater than any fear." His eyes sparkled with fervent passion, igniting Agnes's spirit alongside him. "But what if," she started, her voice trembling. "What if I'm not strong enough to keep believing?" "Strength lies not in you but in Him," Jacob exclaimed, his words like a balm to her troubled soul. They embraced, each believing that the love of God would unite their spirits in unshakable fortitude. One evening, The wind whispered softly as the sun set, painting the sky with hues of orange and gold. Agnes sat outside, allowing the beauty of creation to cradle her anxious heart. Suddenly, she felt something shift within her. It wasn't just the beauty of the moment, it was a deeper understanding washing over her, as if God were telling her, "Rest in my presence, Agnes. Trust beyond what you can see." With this new revelation, tears broke free from her eyes, cascading down like a cleansing stream. "Oh Lord, how can I trust when everything is so uncertain?" she prayed, her voice barely a whisper against the songs of the evening. In that sacred moment, a stillness wrapped around her, silencing her fears, filling her with divine assurance. She felt an unexplainable warmth enveloping her, anchoring her in an unshakable peace. As days turned into a week, the news from the hospital grew brighter. Tom's little body, once so frail, became a spark of life, thriving against the odds. Agnes embraced the shimmering sense of hope that unfurled before her like a blooming flower. Each visit revealed more progress. The doctors marveled at the miracle blooming in Tom's heart. "God is answering our prayers," shouted a mother from the congregation one beautiful Sunday morning, the joy evident in her voice. The news spread like wildfire, igniting the community. Hope surged through the congregation, filling the church to overflowing. People sang praises, hands lifted high in celebration, a collective heart beating in unison. Yet amidst the happiness, Margaret stood at the back, her expression a mixture of skepticism and fear. Watching the joy around her, she couldn't help but harbor her doubts. As Agnes caught sight of her, she felt a tug in her heart, an urge to reach out. Was it possible that God's miracle could break through that doubt too? "Margaret!" Agnes called as she approached, a wave of uncertainty crashing against her resolve. "Do you believe God can do the impossible?" "I see the miracles, Agnes. But I also see the chance for heartache," Margaret replied, her voice trembling. "Heartache exists, yes. But so do miracles. What if we choose to believe?" Agnes challenged. In that moment, something deeper stirred in her, and she dared to hope not just for Tom but for Margaret's heart too. The congregation continued their praises, the atmosphere thick with hope, faith, and divine expectation. Agnes felt the power of their unity pulse through her, igniting a fervor she had never known. But with each miracle there lies a choice. Would Margaret let faith enter her heart, and join the dance of divine possibilities? And would Agnes continue to stand firm, holding on to her faith when the storm returned? As the final hymn echoed through the sanctuary, Agnes couldn't shake the question lingering in her heart: had this revival truly transformed her faith, or was the ultimate test yet to come? The stillness of the moment cradled her soul, whispering of hope as Agnes prepared to walk deeper into the journey laid before her. The shadows approached once again, clouding the edges of her resolve. What awaited them all in this divine unfolding? Only time would tell. The mornings continued to rise with a promise, but uncertainty hung in the air like heavy clouds. Agnes found herself wrestling with the emotional tide each day brought. As she walked the corridor of the hospital, Tom's small bed appeared like a beacon of hope against the dull gray walls. Each time she arrived, her heart beat with prayer, a sacred rhythm, a dance between faith and fear. When she opened the door, however, a new challenge awaited her. Tom sat up, eyes bright, a smile playing on his lips. "Mama!" he exclaimed, arms outstretched. She rushed to him, kneeling at his side as joy burst like spring flowers in her heart. It was a moment of sheer divine delight, utterly transformative. "You're getting better, sweetheart," she exclaimed with tearful gratitude. The nurse entered, a soft smile gracing her face. "He made tremendous progress," she said, her voice steady like a rock. "We're hopeful for the next steps." Agnes felt a swell of gratitude, a deep recognition of God's tender mercy. But as she hugged Tom tightly, questions swirled within her. What if this bright hope dimmed? What if everything fell apart again? Returning home that evening, Agnes sat in the quiet of her living room, reflecting on the day. The flicker of candlelight danced shadows against the walls. She reached for her Bible, drawn to it as if it were a treasure map amidst a storm. Flipping to a passage she knew well, she read aloud, And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8 verse 28. The words nudged her heart, igniting a deeper understanding. It wasn't the perfection of her circumstances that anchored her faith, but the unwavering goodness of God. Hope swelled within her once more, a vine climbing toward the sun. Lord, she whispered, I choose faith. I choose to believe even when I can't see. Each day thereafter, Agnes embraced this new perspective. She met with Jacob often, their conversations growing richer with shared faith. What if the storm is not to drown us but to reveal the treasures hidden deep within? He posed one night, rousing something deep in her spirit. Margaret too became a frequent visitor, her skepticism transformed into curiosity. Agnes patiently shared her experiences, allowing Margaret glimpses of God's faithfulness. She could feel the slow thaw in her friend's heart, a quiet transformation unfolding. One Sunday, as the congregation gathered for worship, Agnes watched Margaret raise her voice in praise. Each note resonated in her soul, creating an unshakable bond of unity among them. The sound of worship felt like a shield against doubt, a divine fortress fortified by faith. But challenges remained. One fateful evening, just as hope danced its brightest, a troubling text message arrived. The hospital wanted to discuss Tom's case further. Fear threatened to pull Agnes under like a rising tide. Could she really withstand another trial? Lord, I need you, she cried, feeling the weight of uncertainty heavy on her chest. Torn between courage and dread, she sought refuge in that familiar stillness, the sacred presence that had cradled her once before. Help my unbelief, she prayed, unsure if her words could withstand the raw vulnerability. As the night cloaked the world outside, silence enveloped her, wrapping around her like a comforting blanket. In that stillness, she felt God's whisper, tender yet firm. I am here, Agnes. I hold you in Tom. Trust the journey. The dawn brought unanswered questions, the kind that make faith feel like a tightrope walk, a delicate balance. Would Tom's situation reveal an even deeper miracle? Could Margaret's heart experience transformation that would renew her spirit? The church awaited her, the community encircled by prayer and love. Yet Agnes sensed a pivotal moment approached, a true test of that faith they had nurtured. Would she stand firm against the rising tide of fear? And as she took a breath and walked into that sanctuary filled with expectancy, she realized that the ultimate lesson still lay just ahead. What awaited them on this divine path could shift everything once more. Agnes stepped into the church, and instantly, warmth enveloped her. The laughter of children, the hum of conversation, the gentle strains of worship filled the air. Yet a heavy weight lingered in her heart. Each familiar face seemed etched with the same hopes and fears she carried. She took a deep breath, allowing herself to be cradled by the atmosphere of prayer and hope. As she settled into her seat, Jacob leaned closer. You all right? His voice was laced with understanding. She glanced at him, feeling the flood of emotion welling up inside. I'm trying to be, she replied, the tremor in her voice betraying her facade. Worship began, and the congregation rose in unison. Each voice lifted toward the heavens felt like an arrow piercing through doubt. Agnes closed her eyes, letting the music wash over her, reaching deep into her soul. The lyrics spoke of trust, of hope, of love that casts out all fear. In those moments, arrangements of life melted away. Lord, I need you to show up today, she implored in her heart, desperate for clarity amid her swirling thoughts. But it was the words spoken during the message that reverberated deep within her spirit. Pastor William stood with an engaging fervor, sharing about storms and how they often revealed the most profound truths. Sometimes, he said, it takes walking through the valley to recognize the presence of the shepherd. Agnes felt a smile break through the tension in her chest. The valley, the very place where her faith had been tested, where she had wrestled with doubt and fear. That realization stirred something important within her. As the sermon came to a close, the pastor encouraged the congregation to reflect on their own storms. Every trial is a stepping stone towards something greater. That simple statement, so rich in divine promise, washed over her. In that moment, Agnes knew she wasn't merely waiting for the storm to pass, she was being prepared for the dawn that followed. Afterward, He invited those in need of prayer to come forward. A quiet tug pulled at Agnes's heart. She stood, heart racing, while the words of her prayer from the night before echoed in her mind. Help my unbelief. With each step to the front, she sensed the presence of the Lord guiding her. When she reached the center, assurance wrapped around her. Jacob joined her side, soothing her worry. Together, they knelt in prayer, their joined faith fueling a fire inside her. As Pastor Williams prayed over them, Agnes felt an extraordinary peace seep into her bones, melting away the tension she had held tight. Whatever comes, she whispered, I trust you, Lord. As the service concluded, Agnes exited the church, sunlight spilling graciously over the path ahead. She turned to Jacob. I feel different. Like something has shifted. He smiled, eyes gleaming with encouragement. That's what faith can do. You're unlocking something, Agnes. Then, as they walked, the phone buzzed in her pocket. With a heart that raced back into uncertainty, she glanced at the screen. The hospital's number. Should I answer? She asked, trembling. With faith thrumming in her heart, she nodded. This is part of the journey. Agnes took a deep breath, the sunlight warming her face. In this moment, the uncertainty mingled with hope once more. She answered the call, knowing that whatever awaited them next could reveal mysteries that would forever change the path laid before her. And as she listened, anticipation and fear danced within her. What revelation was God about to unveil? The moment she answered, Agnes felt the world around her blur. The voice on the other end was calm yet urgent. Ms. Thompson? This is Sarah from the hospital. We have an update about your brother. The words settled heavy in her chest, each syllable charged with both hope and anxiety. Is he okay? Agnes barely managed to squeeze out, her heart pounding to an unsteady rhythm. His condition is stable for now. The doctors are optimistic, but Sarah hesitated, and Agnes felt a tightening grip of dread. But what? Agnes pressed, her voice edging a thin thread between fear and faith. There's going to be a procedure today that could improve his chances. We need you here as soon as possible. Agnes nodded, though Sarah couldn't see her. We'll be there, she said, her resolve hardening. The weight on her heart was still present, but she could feel the warmth of faith igniting her spirit. When she hung up, Jacob's concern deepened. What did they say? They think he'll pull through. We need to get to the hospital, Agnes responded, with renewed determination flooding her being. The drive felt like a swift wind. Every moment brought her closer to a place where hope mingled with dread. She squeezed his hand, not knowing if she'd be able to hold on to the golden threads of hope if sprinkled with painful uncertainty. God guide us, she whispered as the city sped by in a blur. Arriving at the hospital, the sterile scent of antiseptic filled the air, a reminder of the fragility of life. Agnes's pulse quickened, each beat echoing a different prayer. Let your will be done. I trust you, Lord. They were ushered to the waiting area, a desolate space illuminated by flickering fluorescent lights. Dear ones lingered, faces etched with worry and prayer. Agnes felt herself becoming part of this collective heartache, their shared fears amplifying her own. She sat, the weight of uncertainty pressing heavily, yet she held on to the flicker of faith ignited in church. Should we pray? Jacob suggested, breaking the somber silence surrounding them. I think we should, she replied, feeling the need to channel her faith into something tangible. Kneeling together, they lifted their voices, soft yet firm, interceding for her brother, for peace, and for strength to face whatever lay ahead. In that moment, Agnes felt a strange peace saturate the room, a gentle reminder that they were not alone in this fight. The presence of God felt palpable, wrapping them in His love, though her heartbeat remained a tacit rhythm of uncertainty. Then came a startling interruption, the doctor stepping into the waiting area, his countenance poised. We have successfully completed the procedure. Your brother is out of surgery and recovering well, he announced, and relief washed over the group, tears replacing the fearful frowns worn only moments before. Agnes felt a rush of gratitude spill over her, a wave of joy mingling with disbelief. Thank you, Lord, she whispered, her heart buoyed by the promise of something miraculous. But even as joy enveloped her heart, a small whisper pushed through. This isn't the end, Agnes, it was a tender reminder that God had more to reveal. Each moment felt charged with divine potential, and her spirit ached for understanding. Would the unfolding of this journey lead to transformation beyond her brother's recovery? As they collectively praised God in that sacred waiting room, she could sense that something profound was about to shift. "Let us not lose faith now," Jacob said softly, squeezing her hand again. "What's coming next could surprise us in ways we can't yet imagine." Agnes held on to his words, knowing both fear and hope danced delicately on the edge of revelation. What mysteries would this journey bring? What divine purpose awaited just around the corner? Agnes's heart raced as the doctor's words filled the air. The relief felt almost surreal, like a fragile bubble that could burst with the slightest breath of worry. She found herself still kneeling, a thrum of prayers on her lips, when Jacob gently tugged at her sleeve, urging her to stand. "Let us go see him," he encouraged, a smiling flicker igniting hope on his face. As they walked down the long corridor, the sterile white walls seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of miracles yet to unfold. Each step echoed their unspoken faith, a silent agreement that they believed in a future filled with healing and possibility. The vibrant sense of antiseptic only reminded her of what lay ahead: vulnerability, yet a promise of transformation. Turning a corner, they faced a door, heavy yet inviting, leading to her brother's room. A moment of stillness enveloped them. "Are you ready?" Jacob asked, his voice barely above a whisper, embodying both reassurance and trepidation. Agnes inhaled deeply. "I am. God is with us." She grasped the door handle, warmth flooding over her, and pushed the door open. Inside, her brother lay still, connected to a network of machines that hummed softly, a lifeline woven with hope. The beeps of the monitors punctuated the silence, creating a rhythm she anchored herself to, a sign of life's persistence. His face was pale, yet under the fluorescent lights, there was a hint of the smile she loved, the one that reminded her of laughter shared, memories made, and dreams held dear. "Oh, Kyle," she breathed, rushing to his side. She squeezed his hand, feeling the warmth return, and the memories cascaded over her like a gentle wave. Tears blurred her vision as she whispered, "You need to come back to us stronger than ever." Jacob stood at her side, his presence a constant source of strength. They began to talk, sharing stories of family gatherings, of times in the sun, all soaked in laughter and warmth. And in the midst of the gentle flow of words, something extraordinary began to happen. As if God himself were weaving an unseen tapestry, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The machines responded, beeping rhythmically, almost in sync with their words. Agnes felt the heaviness of worry lift. A sacred peace wrapped around them, erasing the boundaries between hope and reality. Kyle stirred slightly, a flicker of awareness igniting in his eyes. "Agnes?" His voice was raspy but filled with pure love, pulling Agnes closer to him. "Yes, I'm here. You're going to be okay, I promise," she replied, brushing a stray hair from his forehead. The warmth of her touch lingered, mingling with the echo of prayers. "Jake?" Kyle's voice trailed as he searched the room. "I'm right here, buddy," Jacob said, kneeling beside him, filled with encouragement. "You gave us quite a scare. But God has not done with you yet." Laughter bubbled from Kyle, a sound that was more precious than gold. This was no ordinary moment, but a divine appointment, a testament of healing that sparked within the trio. They had crossed into something inexplicable, a glimpse of hope breaking through the barriers of fear. But then, an unexpected shadow crossed Kyle's face. "I had the strangest dream there was light, and I felt so many people, they were waiting for me," he faltered, his brow wrinkling in confusion. Agnes felt the air grow thick with anticipation. "What do you mean?" she pressed, curiosity intertwining with concern. They knew me. They were speaking to me about my life, about choices." A strange stillness buzzed, each word carrying a weight that made her heart race. "Maybe it's a sign," Jacob interjected, his eyes wide with understanding. "A deeper purpose, reflecting on your journey." Agnes's mind swirled, the implications unfurling like petals in spring. What revelation awaited in Kyle's dreams? What shifts loomed on the horizon, waiting to redefine their lives? A strong wind began to rustle through her spirit, hinting at something grander. With every heartbeat, she felt God unraveling a mystery just beyond their reach. What sacred truth lay concealed within Kyle's experience? As they gathered closer to him, an undeniable sense of divine possibility painted their hearts. Each question pulsed with sacred intensity. They were on a threshold, a divine encounter waiting to unfold, guided by an unseen hand towards a new beginning. What will we discover next? Agnes pondered aloud, glancing at Jacob and then back to Kyle, eyes alight with divine potential, her spirit aching to understand what lay ahead. The air in the room shimmered with anticipation, as if the very walls were listening to the conversation unfolding within. Agnes leaned closer to Kyle, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. What do you mean by choices? What did you see? Kyle's forehead furrowed deeper, as memories of his dream danced at the edges of his consciousness. It was like a reflection. I saw moments from my life, the good and the bad. I felt their weight. People I've loved, people I've hurt. His voice quivered, heavy with realization. Agnes nodded, understanding washing over her. It's like God is showing you what matters most. Not just for you, but for all of us. How we touch each other's lives. Jacob leaned in, driven by an emerging insight. It's a call to change, Kyle. A chance for a new beginning. This could be your divine purpose awakening. As the words settled in the air, Agnes sensed the sacred stirring around them. It was alive, buzzing with a vibration of hope. Kyle's eyes shone brighter, though they reflected both fear and wonder. But what if I don't know where to start? Agnes felt a gentle nudge within her spirit, a whisper that seemed to echo the promise of new beginnings. Then we'll walk together. You won't be alone in this. A sweet silence enveloped them, thick with a shared understanding. The machines continued their rhythmic hum, a celestial choir affirming their intent. Kyle squeezed Agnes's hand, and in that moment she felt a surge of divine strength course through him. Suddenly, a beam of soft light seemed to pierce through the clouds of uncertainty in Kyle's eyes. I wish I could see them, he said quietly. The people from my dream, to ask them what I should do. Agnes's heart responded, a wave of inspiration washing through her. Maybe we don't have to. Just pray and listen. God will show you the way. As they bowed their heads, the space around them felt sacred. They filled the room with whispered prayers, layering their hopes above the hum of machines and the scent of antiseptic. Time seemed to suspend itself, creating a pocket where faith flourished, unbound by worldly concerns. After what felt like hours, Kyle broke the silence. I feel different. Like I've been given a new chance. He looked at Agnes and Jacob, his face now illuminated with something more than just recovery. It was a spark of divine purpose ignited within him. Maybe that's exactly what this is, Jacob mused. A second chance can lead to a whole new narrative. You can make different choices, Kyle. Agnes smiled, her heart full as she watched her brother regain a fragment of his old self, alive and hopeful. The shadows of uncertainty still lurked, but they were overshadowed by the prospect of renewal. But as Kyle looked around the room, his gaze fell upon the door, its heavy frame looming like a threshold to unknown realms. What do I do about the people in my life outside this room? Will they accept the changes I want to make? The question hung heavy in the air, a poignant reminder of life's complexities. Agnes and Jacob glanced at each other, realizing that Kyle's transformation would ripple beyond these hospital walls into their world. Agnes reached for Kyle's hand once more, grounding him in her unwavering belief. You'll find your way. It's the journey that counts, not just the destination. God will guide you. In that tender moment, the door creaked slightly, rattled by an unseen wind. It felt as if something was stirring just beyond the realm of real life, waiting to embrace Kyle's new path. What awaited them outside? What challenges would they face together? With hearts racing in unison, they knew this was just the beginning of a remarkable journey, a tapestry waiting to be woven with threads of redemption and grace. And if we make mistakes again? Kyle asked, a flicker of doubt creeping into his voice. Then we embrace them, Jacob replied, his voice steady. God's grace is big enough to cover it all. As they released their prayers into the universe, A question lingered like a soft echo in the air. Would they have the courage to step through that door and embrace the unfolding of their destiny? In the end, Agnes whispered, steeling her heart for the next step, what will the journey reveal to us? The moment hung in the air, thick with potential. As they released their grip on each other, the weight of reality settled back into place, yet something felt different. Kyle's heart beat faster, not just out of anxiety, but a growing excitement for the unknown. Let us just take it one step at a time, Agnes said, her voice laced with gentle resolve. You don't have to figure it all out right now. The first step can just be getting to the door. With a deep breath, Kyle nodded. He felt warmth envelop him, vibrant and alive. It was as if the very essence of hope swirled around him, lifting his spirits higher. Okay. One step, he murmured. As they gathered their thoughts and courage, the door stood in front of them, an ordinary portal to an extraordinary life. It was a boundary separating the safety of the known and the thrilling chaos of the world waiting outside. The cool metal gripped Kyle's fingers as he pushed it open, and the air rushed in like the breath of the Almighty. Outside, the sterile hospital scent faded, replaced by the sweet fragrance of blooming flowers and the faint sounds of laughter. Sunlight streamed down, surrounding them like a halo, and Kyle blinked against its brightness, feeling a flicker of trepidation. Look at that, Jacob said, gesturing toward a fountain in the courtyard. It feels so much more alive here, doesn't it? Kyle took a moment to absorb the scene. Children played nearby, their laughter ringing like bells. A couple strolled hand in hand, their faces glowing with love. The colors of nature painted a picture of vitality, and for the first time in a long while, Kyle felt a connection, a thread weaving him into the world. Is that how it feels? To really be a part of it all? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. It can be, Agnes replied, her eyes bright with encouragement. You just have to lean into it. Embrace what comes next. With each step, Kyle encountered a kaleidoscope of emotions swirling within him. Joy battled with fear, excitement tangled with doubt. He felt anchored by the presence of his sister and Jacob, their intentions pure and their spirits unwavering. Where do we even start? Kyle wondered aloud, glancing around the bustling courtyard. Agnes smiled, the corners of her mouth lifting with a warmth that radiated reassurance. We just need to show up. Be ourselves. Live out the changes that are blossoming inside you. Suddenly, Kyle's gaze fell upon an elderly man seated alone on a bench, his eyes reflecting life's stories. His heart stirred with a sudden impulse. What if we talked to him? Go for it, Jacob urged. You never know how a simple conversation can change everything. Kyle took a step toward the man, his heart thudding in anticipation. As he approached, he felt as if more than just a simple hello was at stake. It was a chance to reach out, to connect, to mend. Excuse me, sir? Kyle's voice emerged, a mixture of nerves and hope. The man looked up, a gentle smile breaking across his face. Yes, young man? It was as if the world around them fell away, leaving only this moment between them, shimmered with infinite possibilities. I was wondering. Kyle hesitated, the weight of his words pressing on his tongue. Can you tell me, how do you find joy after tough times? The man's eyes twinkled with wisdom. Joy often comes uninvited, he began. But when it does, it casts out the shadows. If you let it in, you must open the door wide. Let it embrace you. Kyle swallowed hard. The echoes of their earlier conversations fluttered in his mind, each thought gleaming with newfound clarity. Thank you, he said softly, the truth settling like a balm over his soul. As he stepped away, he realized that embracing change wasn't simply about him, it was about all the connections he could create. The journey ahead was crowding with people needing healing, just like he did. But as he looked back at Agnes and Jacob, he felt a familiar tug of anxiety. Was he ready? With faith ignited, he took a deep breath, heart beating to a new rhythm. God's whispers promised guidance for the steps he was about to take. If joy comes uninvited, then what else might await beyond that door? What miracles would unfold if he embraced every moment of his rebirth? And so, the adventure began. But what revelations lie ahead? The sun danced in the clear blue sky, illuminating the courtyard with an inviting glow. As Kyle stepped back from the man on the bench, he felt almost alive with possibility. Each breath of fresh air filled him with a sense of clarity he hadn't known in years. Agnes and Jacob joined him, their expressions a blend of curiosity. "So, what did he say?" Jacob asked, bright-eyed, eager to glean every bit of wisdom they might unearth. "He talked about joy, how it can chase away shadows if you let it in," Kyle replied, feeling the weight of the man's words settle in his heart. "Interesting," Agnes mused. "It's a bit like faith, isn't it? You have to open up and allow it to grow inside you." Kyle nodded slowly. It felt as if the world had shifted just a bit. Something deep within him stirred, an old longing rising to the surface. "How do I even start with joy or with faith?" "By being open, just like you were with that man," Agnes encouraged, her eyes shining bright. "Each moment is a chance for connection, a new doorway into the beauty of this world and your place in it." Eager to act on this burst of inspiration, Kyle's gaze drifted across the courtyard. His heart sank slightly. "But what if I mess up? What if I can't be that person?" I think that's where grace comes in," Jacob chimed in, scratching his head. "You know, when we stumble, grace helps us back up again. It's not about being perfect, but trying your best." Beneath Jacob's seemingly casual remark lay a profound truth that resonated within Kyle. He felt an urge to leave fear behind. Each stutter and misstep was an opportunity to grow. He just needed to trust to embrace. Suddenly, a group of children rushed by, their laughter bright and sweet. One little girl, with curly hair and a wide grin, fell and skidded across the pavement. Before Kyle could think, he dashed forward, offering a hand to help her up. "Hey there, hold on a second." The little girl looked up at him, her cheeks flushed. "Thank you?" she beamed, brushing dirt off her dress. "Are you okay?" Kyle asked, feeling a rush of warmth spreading through him as they locked eyes. She nodded, still grinning, unaware that in that moment she had reset something within Kyle. Connecting with others could ripple through their spirits, it could lift burdens and bring hope. "See? Just like that," Agnes said, clasping her hands together. "Every interaction is a chance for joy." "Yeah, maybe joy isn't so far away after all," Kyle said, reflecting on how effortless that connection had felt. Encouraged by the simple act, he was ready to step further into the unknown. How many more moments awaited him, brimming with potential to connect, to heal, to discover who he was meant to be? They began wandering the courtyard, chatting with others, sharing the light of encouragement and laughter. Kyle's heart swelled as he saw the vibrant exchanges unfold, smiles shared, stories told, connections deepened. Each encounter felt like a thread weaving through the fabric of their lives. Yet, as the afternoon sun began to lower in the sky, a quiet whisper nudged his heart. What awaited them in the deeper layers of this adventure? Would he find those hidden pieces of joy? Would he become the person he envisioned? As they approached another fountain, a soft breeze rippled across the surface, sending shimmering splashes skyward. What if, Kyle mused aloud, the deeper joy and the more profound connections are just waiting in the next step we take? Agnes and Jacob exchanged glances. They could feel it too. Something stunning and unexpected was calling them. "Let us embrace everything," Agnes said, her eyes reflecting the light of the setting sun. Together. And together they moved forward. But even as hope filled their spirits, an unshakable question lingered: was there something greater than joy, something transformative that awaited them on this journey they had only just begun? As twilight painted the sky, colors deepening to hues of gold and lavender, light poured over Willow Creek like the grace of God. Agnes, Jacob, and Kyle walked side by side, each step symbolizing their renewed commitment to faith and connection. Their hearts, once encumbered by worry, were now buoyant with hope. They had entered the realm of miracles where doubts began to dissolve under the warmth of divine love. With each shared laugh and every story exchanged, the atmosphere infused itself with life. Kyle felt the transformation blossoming within him, realizing that love was the catalyst for wanting more, a more profound purpose, deeper joy. Until now, he had contained his spirit, but it was time to let it soar. "I can be a part of something greater," he whispered as the three made their way through the courtyard, "not just for myself, but for others. Absolutely, Agnes replied, her voice tinged with excitement. Every act of kindness is like casting seeds of light into the world. We can impact each other's lives simply by showing up. The trio found a group of young people gathered around a table playing games, the sound of laughter erupting like a chorus. Something stirred within Kyle. He approached cautiously, but the radiant energy drew him in. "Can I join?" he asked, quite surprised by the ease of his words. "Of course," a young man responded, gesturing for him to sit down. "We love having more people to play with." That small invitation, seemingly insignificant, felt monumental to Kyle. As he joined in, his laughter harmonized with theirs. In that moment, he experienced a profound truth: joy multiplied when shared. The walls he'd built slowly crumbled under the flood of acceptance and connection. Nearby, Agnes and Jacob exchanged glances. The sight of Kyle, unburdened and free, warmed their hearts. It was as if scales lifted from his eyes, revealing not just a new reality, but a calling. "Look at him," Agnes said, tears glistening in her eyes. "This is it. This is the miracle we prayed for." But then, in her heart, something stirred. Pride swelled for Kyle, yet a twinge of responsibility grabbed hold. What if this moment slips away? What if he forgets the lessons learned during struggle? Jacob sensed the undercurrent of her thoughts. "Agnes," he reassured, "this journey is only the beginning. Change is not a single step, it's a path we all walk together. He has us to guide him." That truth settled deep. The evening settled gently into a peaceful hush. As the stars began to twinkle above, Kyle turned back to his sister and Jacob, eyes bright with realization. "I want to help others just like you did for me." "Exactly. Sharing our journeys can lead to healing for so many," Jacob said, his excitement contagious. "We can start a support group for those who've been through similar battles like ours. Together, we can create a sanctuary of hope." The thought struck Kyle like a spark igniting dry tinder. That's the way to embody joy. Not just in personal healing, but collectively as a community. He became animated, looking around at all the faces that had been touched by their stories. It was time to weave this newfound momentum into something more significant. Hours seemed to pass like seconds as they brainstormed how to invite healing into their community. They envisioned gatherings filled with stories of hope and encouragement, a safe place where others could voice their struggles and reignite flames of faith. "This is our calling," Agnes declared, her voice steady and passionate. "We've experienced these miracles, and now we'll pass that light along." At that moment, something shifted in the atmosphere. The rippling promise of community filled the air like a sacred breath, and suddenly the campfire in the courtyard flickered brighter, illuminating their faces with warmth and purpose. With heads bowed, they gathered in prayer. Thanksgiving danced on their lips, hearts filled with gratitude for the healing they'd witnessed and a commitment to all that lay ahead. "I feel it, Lord," Agnes whispered, "the spark you've ignited in us. We choose to be vessels of your love, spreading hope in every encounter." As they unwrapped their eyes, a gentle breeze swirled around them, carrying whispers of purpose, love, and infinite possibilities. In that moment of unity, no longer were they just individuals fighting their battles. They were a community, each layer of connection a brushstroke on God's greater canvas. The sky above witnessed their resolve, twinkling stars like tiny eyes of approval moving in concert with their heartfelt intentions. "Let us begin tomorrow," Kyle said, awe threading through his voice. "Let us create spaces where others can find their own paths to healing like I did." Heartened by renewed purpose, they left the courtyard, walking toward each new dawn together, intertwined through stories yet to unfold. A new adventure awaited, a tapestry woven with love, grace, and the assurance that no matter how many valleys they may face, they would emerge transformed, steadfast in faith. In the warm embrace of their unity, they were no longer the same. They were vessels for divine transformation, stepping boldly into a world filled with potential and promise, each beat of their hearts resonating with a single truth: joy comes when shared, and miracles bloom in the soil of faith. As the shadows lengthened, an undeniable truth echoed within them. Ageless wisdom whispered, "This is just the beginning." And in that sacred moment, they knew they were indeed unlocking a sacred shift, forever bound in spiritual transformation. If you've felt the journey spark within your heart just as it did for Agnes, Jacob, and Kyle, don't miss out. Subscribe immediately to stay engaged with these heavenly stories that inspire and uplift every soul. Leave a like now to fuel the light of this channel and the algorithm. Your prayerful testimonies mean the world. Make sure to comment below and share how this tale touched you. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who deserve to witness these beautiful manifestations of faith. Together, let us ignite the fire of connection and grace in our communities.